All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining me here today. My name is Morgan Heitzma with Scott Leroy Marketing, and a very happy new year to you all. Today's class, we're going to be talking about opportunities. So, if this is your very first time jumping into KW Command, or if you're not quite sure what opportunities are, they're essentially your transactions within your KW Command platform. So we're going to kind of jump in there and learn how to kind of get that set up, as well as how to navigate from the moment that you get a lead to the moment that you close on a deal and submit your commissions. So what I have here is I have the KW Command home login page. And once I sign in here, I'm going to be taken to the home page. But before we jump in too far here, if you have any questions throughout today's training, please feel free to use the chat box down below. I should be able to help address any questions that you guys have along the way. If I miss any questions, I'll be sure to stay a few minutes after class here today and address those as well. And of course, you will always be able to reach out to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com if you just have any additional questions. I'm going to put that email in the chat box down below for you guys. This class is going to be recorded here today, so you will also be able to find that on our YouTube page. And it kind of takes about 24 hours to process and fully upload on there. But I put that in the chat box for you guys as well, for you guys to look back on this at a later date. So as we're taking a look at this right here, this is the KW Command login page. It's typically agent.kw.com. And when we type this in, it should present a KW username and password. We may have to type this in at the very first here. It should essentially be the first letter of your first name followed by your last name. If it's a pretty common combination like John Smith, you may have a number associated at the end here. So for today's demonstration, we're going to go ahead and use Scott's login. And when we go ahead and sign in here, we'll be taken to the KW Command homepage. So it's kind of the hub before we jump into any of the additional pages within Command. So we'll give this a moment here to sign in. And as we're signed in right here, we want to kind of take a look at our left-hand icons right here. So these are going to be our navigational pages. If we go ahead and click on the red KW square in the top left-hand corner, it should open up the titles to these pages so we can kind of read them a little bit easier. Today's class, we're going to be navigating to the opportunities section right here. Now, before we get to the opportunities, I'd like to kind of do a few initial points to set up our systems. So when we go and we start running our opportunities or our transactions, we're not kind of roadblocked and have to kind of go back. So what I'm going to do here before I make my way to opportunities, if we take a look on the top right-hand corner, we should see our name. If we go ahead and give that a click, we should see this drop down here, and we're going to actually navigate over to settings. Once inside of our settings page right here, the left-hand side is what we would typically find for our normal phone settings or any other kind of site settings. But the right-hand side right here are a number of different third-party applications that we can go ahead and connect with our KW Command. So, for example, if you have Twitter, we can go ahead and connect Twitter. If you have MailChimp, we can go ahead and connect MailChimp. Again, these are essentially going to be third-party platforms that you already have set up. Now, there's going to be one section in here that's going to be a little bit different than the rest, and that's going to be the DocuSign portion. We will be able to locate it right up top here. It'll say DocuSign. Essentially, this is actually how you initiate the KW branded DocuSign account. So I'm sure some of you may be wondering, can I use my paid DocuSign account that I've been using for years? Unfortunately, this DocuSign account is completely different than like a paid version or a personal version of DocuSign. It just won't have the tools necessary to connect with Command. So with that in mind, super important to note that the settings page within Command is where we go to initiate that's set up for our KW DocuSign. Now, as you can kind of see, I have this already kind of signed in right here. So I'm going to navigate over to the right here and click disconnect account. Now just go ahead and disconnect my account fully as if we've never signed into a DocuSign yet. And what you should see is you should see this underneath the digital signature and transactions section. So actually all of these are kind of segmented into different sections, different categories here. We'll find the DocuSign within the digital signature and transaction. Now, starting from scratch here, all we have to do is really click on connect account, put in our first name, last name, and preferred email. And what DocuSign is going to do is DocuSign is going to send you a registration invite to this email address. There will be a button inside of that email for you to create a password as well as a security question. So think of this as half of the initial steps to get registered. The other half is going to come in the DocuSign email that you're going to get. Now, say we try to sign in here and we start getting a couple errors down below. If you get any errors in red down below, essentially what this means is that email address is already being registered somewhere else within a DocuSign. So if, for example, I choose scottleroy@gmail.com, if Scott had a DocuSign on his personal Gmail, then what would happen is it would say that this is incompatible. So we have to make sure that that email is a free email. Now, as you saw, I disconnected my DocuSign account. If you ever get into a situation where you need to kind of disconnect and reconnect, or you sign in one day and it's just randomly disconnected, what we can do is we can take a look at this section right down below. This is going to be for people who already have registered and went through the sign up process of their KW DocuSign account. So they'll say, do you already have an account? Log in here. So we'll go ahead and click on that log in here button. And I'm just going to go ahead and put in my email. I'm going to click log into DocuSign right here, and it should give me another pop-up to either to sign in with my DocuSign password, or depending on how long it's been since I signed in, it may just pop this up and then connect me really quick. So since it's been a while since I disconnected my DocuSign account, it'll ask me to connect my password. I'll sign this in right here, and then this should again shoot back up to the top. You also get a banner up top here that says that your DocuSign is now ready to be viewed within your opportunities. As we are taking a look further here, this is a great indication of which email address you have connected. So if you're not quite sure what email your KW branded DocuSign account is, you can be able to kind of just see that, identify that a little bit easier right here. So once we have this connected right here, step one's essentially complete. Step two would be to create a contact. And again, if we're new to the KW Command platform, everything within our left-hand side here essentially draws from our contacts, aka to which contact do you want to create an opportunity for, or to which contact do you want to set up a campaign for. So we'll first need to make sure that we have a contact added within our database. So we'll click on that red KW square again. We'll make our way to our contacts. And we'll jump into our database here. Now, as you see right here, I do have a smart view on, but I do have a initial contact that I originally created for myself. If you're interested in additional information about contacts, we have a full in-depth contacts class that we can send over to you. If you're also interested in specific questions on contacts, please feel free to shoot over an email, and we should be able to kind of help give you additional information on that. Now, as you see right here, we have Brittany and we have Scott. I do have myself, so if I go ahead and I turn off this all contacts, we'll scroll down. We do have a few Morgans in here, so I'm actually going to go ahead and select myself here. And taking a look at our contact here, once a contact has been created, the left-hand side is going to be all the information that we've populated on that contact. The right-hand side is going to be all of the activities that are going on with the contact. On the right-hand side, it starts off with your timeline. And again, this is if you connect your email within these settings and you have their email and you guys communicate back and forth, those should reflect here within your timeline. But if we navigate over, you'll see that we actually have a few additional options here. So if we were to click on opportunities, you'll see that we don't quite have any opportunities just yet. However, we have the ability to create an opportunity for this contact straight within this contact's profile here. We can do so by clicking this create opportunity button right here. And when we click on create opportunity, it should populate all the information that we need, and then we'll just need to provide the rest. So we can go ahead and select our market center. Since this contact is on my personal profile and not my team profile, it does not allow me the ability to toggle between. The client name pre-populated with my client information because I'm on their profile. And then the opportunity type right here. Is this going to be a listing or is this going to be a buyer? So we can go ahead and select that. And depending on what we choose right here, you should see this opportunity name reflect accordingly. So it should reflect the contact's name plus what side of the transaction they're on. So Morgan Heitzma listing, if I change this over, it's Morgan Heitzma buyer. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when we're going through transactions and we're submitting documents, I believe your principal reviewing broker searches these documents based off of the property address. So for example, if we're going ahead and creating this opportunity right here and it pre-populates Morgan Heitzma listing, if we already have the listing address, we can go ahead and type this in right here and kind of just get ahead of it to be able to kind of already have that in place. So I'll use that as an example right here. Morgan Heitzma, this is a listing. And down below, we'll have a couple options for estimated close date, estimated listing price. But these are going to be optional for the time being. However, when we jump into our commissions, these are going to be still required. So just know that we can bypass this for now. We can enter our commission rate. And then down below, you have two cool drop downs right here. And this is essentially if you're already halfway through a transaction with somebody or you're partway through, what we can do is we can kind of jump them ahead to wherever they need to be. If they're actually in active negotiations, we can kind of switch that over all the way up to that portion of the timeline without having to have them start at the very beginning. I'm gonna go ahead and start this at the very beginning here. I'm just gonna be at cultivate new seller lead right here. I'm gonna leave the estimated close date and the listing price blank for now. But a couple other sections that I skipped over is going to be the co-seller as well as the custom tags. Now, for those of you who are interested, or for those of you who know about tagging your database, this is going to work essentially the same sort of way, only through your transactions, right? So if you wanted to tag it out by first-time home buyer transactions, if you want to tag it out by geolocation, price range, whatever kind of fits you and your transactions a little bit easier to kind of be able to group them up a little bit more. That is what this custom tag section is for us. Now, for our sample here, I mean, I can throw a sample tag in. Our co-seller, this is going to be a really cool option for us to be able to provide additional information as well. So I'm not sure if you guys heard this, but we always like to say to keep our contacts separate. So if you have a husband and wife, we always like to say create two contacts, one for the husband, one for the wife. And you'll always be able to kind of pair them together however you need to. This is a great example of that right here. So for example, I'm the client right here, but say maybe right now me and my wife are looking for a home to purchase, right? But maybe 3 years down the line, me and my business partner will be looking for an investment property to go into business with. So this kind of gives us the option to be able to kind of separate who's going to be within that transaction. So again, a really cool way to kind of see that right here. So as we kind of scroll down right here, I think everything else is completed as needed. One last thing to mention is if you belong to multiple market centers right here, or if you're transferring market centers, you may have a drop down right here with multiple market centers. And this is pretty important because once we select a market center to submit or create our opportunity, it's actually going to send that opportunity to that specific market center that you selected. Unfortunately, we're unable to adjust this once it's created. So it either need to be archived or you'll need to carry through the transaction throughout that market center. Okay, so keep that in mind. Another few things that we will not be able to change once this is created is the team right here. So once we create the opportunity, if it's your personal opportunities, we won't be able to switch it over to the team and vice versa. Last but not least, your opportunity type. This is also very important. This will unfortunately not allow us to be able to adjust this once it's created, as essentially the listing and the buyer sections act as like two timelines that don't interact with each other. So just keep in mind, there's going to be some things that are unable to be that just cannot be changed. So as we kind of scroll down right here, I'm just going to go ahead and click on create. And as you see on the right hand side right here, it automatically popped up that 123 Main Street opportunity that we just created here. So again, we can kind of look at this in two different ways. We still haven't quite navigated to our opportunities page yet, but kind of treat this if you're working with your contacts at that point in time, it may be best to kind of go this route and create opportunities within your contacts. If you are spending time working on your transactions, your opportunities may be a little bit better for you as well. So keep in mind, they essentially do the same thing. However, depending on what you're focusing more on, you should be able to kind of have a little bit more tools and accessibility. So we created a listing for Morgan Heitzma right here, 123 Main Street. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to navigate over to the opportunities page. And this is essentially what our opportunities look like right here. Now, let me see if I can zoom up a little bit. Within our opportunities, we have about 3 different timelines. We have the listing timeline, the buyer's timeline, and the leases timeline. As we take a look through here, each timeline has about the same section. So each one has a cultivate, each one has an appointment, an active, an under contract, and a closed. Right below these titles right here, you'll have these images. And if we go ahead and click on these images here, it'll actually pop us open into that cultivate section right here. So here's all the different opportunities that we currently have. No worries, we're going to actually jump into this here in a minute. If this looks a little confusing, we're actually going to start off with one opportunity. So ignore all this if it looks a little overwhelming. But as we kind of navigate through here, you'll see that you'll have buttons for each one of these categories that we can jump into. So if I just want to jump into my active section for my listings, you'll see that I have that one listing right here within active. Now, as we go ahead and take a look at this right here, right below the images, you should have a number within these colored circles right here. So you'll see 7 right here, 4, 1, 3, 0, and then you'll have more down below within the buyer's timeline. This is to reflect how many opportunities are currently within this section right here. So at any given time, you should be able to say at a glance where you're at with your business. So if somebody came into me today and said, "Hey, what does your business look like?" I can say, "Well, on my listing side, I have 7 opportunities that I'm cultivating, 4 that are in appointments, 1 that are active, 3 that are under contract, and 0 closed. On my buyer side, I have 5 buyers I'm cultivating, 1 that's in appointments, 6 that are active, 2 under contract, and 0 closed." So you should be able to say exactly what's going on with your business very rapidly, or at least view it at a glance as a whole. So as we're kind of scrolling down right here, right below the colored numbers, you'll have a volume as well as a average time. So your average time is going to be how long are these opportunities sitting within this one section right here. As you can see, we kind of use these as examples here. So our days don't quite look very good, but these should reflect on average. And then once you move them over, then they'll start again, and you should be able to kind of see what the average daytime within your transactions are. So if we navigate all the way to the right-hand side right here, we'll have these boxes, and this is a GCI, and your GCI is made up based off of your potential income and your probable income based off of where these opportunities are in the pipeline. So for example, we have a potential income, the total commission from all listing opportunities within this timeline at about $71,000. Our probable income, aka seeing as how most of our opportunities are in Cultivate, and we have about 3 in under contract right now, we have a probable income of about $29,527. So, and again, this is adjusted commission based off of each stage's probability to close. So, so you have that for each different category right here. Down at the very bottom, you'll see your ratio and your activity. Now, this is a great way to kind of see how your business is doing. You'll see what your business is kind of made up of. If we are more listing heavy, if we're more buyer heavy, as well as the number of listings within each section right here. So you have this bar graph. You also have your total probable and potential income based off of all 3 categories right here. So again, just at a glance, here's some data and statistics on your transactions. Do you recommend we add the opportunities as soon as we add a contact? That's a great question. As we take a look up top here, our cultivate and our close, taking a look through each one of these different categories right here. If we think transactions and we kind of pair that with opportunities, truthfully, our transactions really only take place in that under contract close section, right? So, so everything else before that is going to be what we're doing to ensure a successful sale. So, for example, the cultivate section would truthfully be the starting point of if a new lead were to come in, like if you sent a Facebook post or a Facebook ad and somebody clicked on it, a cold lead came in, we can go ahead and create an opportunity for that cold lead and place it within Cultivate right here. Once we're starting to warm up and engaging within that lead, we can go ahead and move that lead over to Nurture. And then once they're ready to do business, we can move them over to the hot section. Now, as you see, if we're following along here together, your titles may be a little bit different than mine up top here, but just know that these can be changed and adjusted as well. So I think what its standard is watch, nurture, and hot. Watch again would reflect as if you have not really engaged just yet. Nurture is you're starting to build a relationship. Hot is ready to do business. And then what's cool is once they're ready to do business with you, we can actually grab this opportunity right here and we'll just move it up to the appointment section. So we're actually just carrying this opportunity down this timeline right here to be able to kind of go all the way to under contract and closed. So once I move that over and click on appointment, and then we can go ahead and just carry on here. So let me back out. I know there's tons of opportunities to kind of get lost in, but as we're kind of taking a look closer here, I wanted to create one more opportunity for us. I know we created the listing opportunity within our contacts, but let's go ahead and create a buyer opportunity as well by clicking on the Create Opportunity button on the top right-hand corner here. Again, we'll select our market center, and then our opportunity type is going to be a buyer here. Now, seeing as how we are not within that contacts profile, it did not pre-populate any client information for us. So we'll actually have to search for this contact. Now, if I were to type, for example, Bob into my database, you'll see that I don't have Bob added to my contacts. So I cannot create an opportunity for Bob just yet. I'll have to add them as a contact first. But I should have myself as a contact here. And as you see, we'll go ahead and give that a click, and we can go ahead and pull that in. And then once we pull that contact in right here, you should see, again, it pre-populate with Morgan Heitzma buyer. Given that this is a buyer this time, and we're not quite sure what that listing, what that property address is going to be yet, we can go ahead and leave this blank for now, or sorry, leave this as Morgan Heitzma buyer for now. And once we find that property that we're closing on, we can go ahead and adjust this. Now I'm going to do about the same thing right here. I'm going to, let's do a sample custom tag right here, estimated close date and budget. I'm going to leave that blank. One new thing that you might see within the buyer section is going to be a time frame. So here we have, how long does this buyer have to find a property? There we go. Commission rate, we'll go ahead and add that again. And again, if I wanted to move this all the way up, I can actually move this all the way up to, I believe, active negotiations, because anything else after that under contract, it acts like a locked in deal between the two parties. So if you ever move it to under contract, it may have a little bit less editability as it were within the other portions of the timeline. Now, as we go ahead and click on this right here, let me go ahead and actually active negotiations right here. This one's going to be all the way as far as we can get it. We'll hit create right here. And once you create an opportunity, it'll automatically open you up into the opportunity here. So again, how we find this page right here that it automatically brought us to is actually going to be within any of these opportunities. Let's see. Morgan Heitzma buyer right here. You saw we can click and drag and move these around. However, if you were to click on the title right here, it'll open you up into the opportunity. Now, within this opportunity right here, we have the details tab, which is very similar to what we saw within the contact, where the left-hand side is going to be all that information that we filled out. The right-hand side is going to be that property that we find for the buyer. As we just are getting started, we don't have any property information right here. But once we find that listing, it'll start to pre-populate. Now, one thing that may be a little bit difficult to see here is this edit pencil. And we should be able to find that by just kind of following general information all the way along right here. You should be able to find this this pencil. And if we give this a click, you'll see again, we're unable to change that market center. We're unable to change the team, but we can change the opportunity name. We can change the custom tags, and as well as some other additional information. So keep that in mind. You are limited, but you do have some options to kind of adjust as well. Now, again, taking a look right here, this is going to be your menu options right here. So it's a little bit lower than the top, but we have our details, buyer profile, documents, offers and commissions, notes, and timeline. Up at the top here, you'll also see the title of your opportunity as well as the contact that's associated. Now, again, I'm just going to bounce around here for a second, and I'm going to jump back over to the listing that we created. So that 123 Main Street right here. If we take a look at this right here, you'll have another additional option. Since this is a listing, we'll have an additional option to select a listing from the MLS. I'm gonna navigate from show only my listings to show all listings. And here I'll be able to kind of search for a listing here. So I typed in 123 Main Street. I did hit enter here. And then let's go ahead and find a decent 123 Main Street to kind of use as an example. So I went ahead and gave that a click. It pre-populated that information here. And it also pre-populated that information on the right-hand side as well. So it's starting to gather that listing information and applying it to that opportunity here. Next, what I want to do is I'm going to navigate over here to the documents section right here, because this is going to be that next step to be able to get signatures signed and sent back for you to be able to submit to your market center. So if I click on documents right here, this is what a typical new opportunity document section would look like. It looks pretty basic at the very beginning here, but the first step would be on the left-hand side, picking a checklist type. Now, before I go any further, I do want to stress that each market center has the ability to create these checklists. Okay, so if my checklist looks a little bit different than your checklist, just know that is to be expected. That again, each market center creates these for you. So if I click on pick checklist type right here, I'll have an option for residential and commercial. I'm going to choose residential here, and then it pre-populates two sections for me. The right-hand side right here with all these drop-down options, or sorry, with all these upload options, and then another section right here, right next to where we chose that residential. If we take a look right underneath residential right here, we have listed, under contract, and closed. And these are the stages that we typically have when we send documents out for signatures. So right here, it says that we're highlighted on listed. If we go ahead and click on under contract right here, it'll give us another set of documents to upload. And then on closed right here, it'll give me another set. So you have your three different categories to upload your documents depending on where you're at in the transaction. Now, taking a look at the listed side right here, you'll see that we have a few different things going on. So first and foremost, let's start from the top down. And right here we have our status. We don't really have anything uploaded from our documents yet. So as you see, it's a little bit bare for now. But we can choose not uploaded. Following this over to the right-hand side, we have two buttons. We have Submit to Market Center and we have Start a Transaction. When a document is uploaded to your opportunity, your Submit to Market Center button will appear. So it will be available for us to choose from. So as we're taking a closer look, at this bottom section right here, we have our listed, and depending on which section, which category we choose, it's going to be changing as well. So we have our listed, under contract, and closed. If say you are working with a listing like we are, and the buyer falls through, right? What we can do, instead of like removing all this information, we can actually go ahead and click on under contract right here, and we can add a new version. And so I'll say under contract version 2, which will save your previous documents information, but will allow us to be able to toggle between which new deal that we're working on. So, and this has the ability to add a version on each one of these categories here. So again, depending on if that deal falls through and you're still working with the opportunity, you have that ability to add another version. Scrolling over here to the right hand side, we have attach files from. And I kind of skipped this button here just to kind of be able to kind of talk about both of these together. The start a transaction button is, again, will only appear here if we've successfully connected our DocuSign within our settings, okay? If our DocuSign is not connected yet, we will not have this button. When we see a dark gray button that says start a transaction, this means we have not connected a DocuSign room to this opportunity yet. When we give it a click, it should give us a new tab here to sign into DocuSign. And again, since we just signed into it not too long ago, it may bypass that login, that password page. And as you see right here, it created a DocuSign room for me. So now I can go ahead and start to pull in documents to fill out and get signatures for. So pretty cool. We have a full in-depth class. I teach DocuSign 101 and 201 here for you guys for additional information. So just know that there is resources here for you if you're looking to take advantage of the DocuSign portion of KW Command. Now, once we clicked on that start a transaction, it'll turn into a white button with blue text and it'll say go to transaction. This lets us know that it is indeed linked to a DocuSign room. So the dark gray means not linked, white means linked. Now, taking a look over here, you also have your attached files from. And once we've actually connected our DocuSign account, you'll have the ability to attach files from your DocuSign or from your computer. And this is what it typically looked like at the very beginning here. But once we connect our DocuSign, we have the option to toggle and drop down. So if you're working with files within DocuSign, toggle this to DocuSign right here. And then they'll have one more drop down because DocuSign is divided in between like folders. So we'll just use the room docs folder here, and then we'll be able to select these drop down options here. Now, as we take a look further down right here, just kind of giving a brief rundown on what these file types are or what they're looking for. I'll switch this back to a computer here. Is the right-hand side, going from right to left here. The right-hand side is going to be where you drag and drop, browse, or choose the drop-down for your DocuSign to find your files. So, again, we just drag and drop our file here. Moving over to the left, it'll address what type of file they're specifically looking for. So this is going to be an agreement. This will be a disclosure. This will be an addendum. This will be an other. Addendum, and so on. So taking a look further left, you'll have the document title. So this is the title of the document that they're specifically looking for. And this is the exclusive right to sell. Moving further, once more, we have our requirement. Now, depending on the transaction that you have, there's going to be some documents that are required, some that are optional, and some that are conditional, contingent on the property. So as you see right here, we have a required and conditional. Let's see if we can find an optional here. We don't quite have an optional, but there's going to be an optional tag as well. And last but not least, you have your status. So again, if I were to drag and drop like say a document, let's see if I can find one here. If I were to drag and drop a document that I have, say, from my computer, it'll change the status here from not uploaded to uploaded here. And again, as you see, once I upload it, I can submit it to the Market Center. You'll also have the ability to see if your documents have been approved or rejected based off of once your principal reviewing broker goes in and reviews your document. So your status will actually come back over here as well, indicating if things have been successfully approved. I'm not going to go ahead and submit to Market Center. I'm actually going to click on these three dots. I can go ahead and remove this right here. Last but not least, we also have three dots on the right-hand side where if you need to ever export any documents, we can export all the documents within our opportunity here. Unfortunately, we cannot export a bulk load of opportunities. They'll have to be done one at a time. However, you can export all of the documents within a specific opportunity. So let me drag that doc over here again. Wait for it to be uploaded. I'm going to click on these three dots, and then I can export the document. And this will give me the ability to export which section. I think I only have one on closed, so it only gives me the option to export what's there. And again, it'll give me the option to send it to an email address. So we'll go ahead and we'll export that. Exporting process will receive notification link to download and archive when the process is complete. So again, pretty cool to be able to kind of export that as well. So we'll remove this. Taking a look at our offers and commissions here, we have to actually set up a offer in order to navigate over to our commissions page. So first and foremost, we'll go ahead and add an offer by clicking on this Add Offer button on the top right here. We can go ahead and leave this initial offer, but again, if you have a more descriptive title for this offer, please feel free to enter that. And then this should take you through the offer process. So first we'll go through the offer details, the parties involved, the terms, and then the agent analysis, right? So again, the offer details, that's perfectly fine. As you see, since we are on the listing side right here, we're going to pre-populate within the sellers category on the right-hand side. So it'll actually pull in the contacts information. It'll also pull in the agent's information as well. And then on the left-hand side, we'll go ahead and just enter the buyer. And then the only other red asterisk right here that's required is the associate's name. So I think that's pretty good for now. Please feel free to enter in as much information as you can, of course. But for today's demonstration, I think that it'll be fine if we leave out the email and the fax number. We'll go ahead and hit terms right here. And again, this is essentially that offer that you're sending out, right? So so there's a cash offer. And as we see right here, we have our percentage and our earnest amount. We have our option fee, and we have our termination option, as well as seller's costs, like contribution costs. Again, I'm going to leave these blank for now, but again, you can fill that in contingent on the offer, right? We'll hit agent analysis right here, and then a pros and cons, right? So here is where you can say, buyer really enjoyed this. Buyer was concerned about that. Summary is, if you're willing to negotiate on this, then they may agree to close, right? So you have the ability to add your agent analysis, and then when we hit next right here, it actually turns it into a little drop down section for us to be able to view this in real time. So you can actually create a number of different offers here. So when you sit down with your seller, you can actually kind of go through this one at a time, see what the pros and cons are, and be able to kind of judge accordingly. Now, one of my personal favorite things that I love about this is we have these three dots right here. We have the accept and reject, which are pretty self-explanatory. But when we click on these three dots right here, we have add negotiation, edit offer, add analysis, send offer, or remove offer, okay? So one of my favorite things right here is going to be the send offer option, because what this does is this actually allows us to be able to send this offer to our seller. So we can actually sit right here. We can just email them this offer that they got. If you wanted to see what this looks like in real time, what email that they're going to receive is, it's going to look something similar to this. Hi, Morgan, great news, a new offer on your listing, or there's a new offer on your listing. And you can edit this if you want to. And then it kind of gives those pros, cons summary. And then again, you as the agent with the ability to kind of download your app. So it kind of pre-generates this amazing offer email for you to automatically send out to your clients. Now, I'm not going to send that out just yet, but what I can do is I can accept or reject that offer, right? In order to get to our commissions page, we have to accept an offer. But if you guys notice when I click accept on these two buttons actually change. I'll give that a click right here, refreshing. And then these two buttons actually change to change response or manage commission. So it actually, the magic happened all within these two buttons right here. Once we click on manage commission, this is where we actually go to submit our commission reports to our MCAs to get paid. So on the left-hand side is going to be the information that we fill out. The right-hand side is going to be all that information pre-populated in real time. And as we go through and just make sure that everything is correct here, we can click on edit information. As you see, we have that contract date that's pegging us here. Yes. So going through the offer and commissions and things like this, the commissions report would be after all parties have signed and completed after the deal is closed. So taking a look right here, our sales price was $400,000. Our commission rate was 2.8, giving us a total commission of 11,200 and a total units of 1. We are missing that contract date, so let's go ahead and do that as today's date. We'll hit save right here. It'll update in real time for us. And I think as far as everything goes, we don't have any other red errors preventing us from proceeding forward to submitting this document. However, I kind of want to jump into this a little bit more for us. So again, this is that general information. Right below that general information, we'll have this payment section. And within this payment section, we have add another agent and add a co-broker payment. If you are working with a team and you're splitting the commish, right? Then what we can do is we can add another agent here. And this will pre-populate all of the agents that are within your team. Okay. So since, again, I chose this as a personal opportunity right here, I unfortunately am unable to select any other team members. So that's why it's super important to make sure that we're creating the opportunities on the correct team profile or personal profile. But what's really cool here is we're actually able to kind of adjust the commission. How much is the other side of the agent going to receive? Are they going to receive any unit counts? Once we kind of navigate down here a little bit more, we have our Bold Scholarship, our ENO, and again, if I had selected an agent, that information should pre-populate here for us to be able to kind of add that accordingly or have it pre-populate accordingly. We also have our extra payment option down at the bottom here. If we click add item right here, this is like concessions, deductions, like things like that, bonuses, inside referral, outside referral. So any kind of added kind of like additional bonus that you want to give, we can go ahead and do that. I'm going to hit save changes right here. I don't think it'll let me proceed forward without an agent name. That's perfectly fine, as long as we know that the add another agent is for the team members. Now, if you are working with a referral and you have to send that referral fee out, right? What we can do is we can use the add co-broker payment. So giving this a click right here, what's the commission percentage? And as I change this commission percentage right here, you'll see that it changes the amount in real time. So again, if this was typed out, it'll reflect the commission percentage also. So we don't need to know both. We'll just technically need to know one or the other. Now, when it comes to tax ID type, this will reflect the referral partner that you're sending the commission to. So company name, pay to, agent name, address, phone number, and email. And then we'll go ahead and save changes, and then your MCA should be able to kind of take it from there. Now, scrolling down here a little bit more, we have our agent payment right here. So again, this just kind of reflects your royalties, your caps, any kind of breakdown that you may be looking at. And as we go ahead and click on that edit agent payment button, we have that ability to kind of select that again. So as we see right here, we have all of that information accordingly, depending on what we ended up choosing to separate out. We can go ahead and save changes. Again, we also have that add payment option for ourselves. We'll hit save right here. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see that that it's ready for us to be able to submit to our MCA. Now, last but not least, before we hit the submit button, if you need to send any other notes to your MCA, something's weird on your commission, you're not quite sure, something looks out of place, what we can do is we can add a note right here. We can hit save changes. And then, so as you see, your MCA will receive this note along with this commission report. So I won't hit submit right here just because we ran through a listing that's not my own, right? So so as we see right here, that would technically be running a listing from the moment you gather a lead to the moment that you close on a deal. Now, I did get a question in here about opportunity checklist, and I know I'm running against the clock here, but I would love to take at least a moment to kind of address those as well. So if I navigate back over here to my sales pipeline right here, you know that we have cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed, right? You'll have the same right here for your buyers. Now, I think maybe if I jump into my leases, maybe a little bit less. There we go. So now we have our original view of what it would look like if this is the first time we jumped into our categories. So we have our watch, nurture, and our hot right here. We have our scheduling, scheduled, and kept. We have our showing, and then again, this depends on which side of the transaction you are, but there's staging. But there's also like negotiations, right? So depending on what side that you're on. But as we are taking a look right here, you have the ability to add additional blocks if you need them, as well as adjust the titles and percentages of each category. And we can do so by clicking on this edit stages button right up here at the top. Now, it will depend on which category we're in right here. So if we're in appointment and then click edit stages, we're editing the appointment side. The same thing for the active and cultivate. So when I click on cultivate and I click on that edit stages, it'll show me that watch, nurture, and hot right here. On the left-hand side, I can actually adjust these and move these around. So what's going to be my first category? I think watch, nurture, and hot's great. And then moving over, we have our probability. I think this is really cool too, because we have the option to adjust the percentage of our probability of close based off of our transactions, right? So we can see if moving from a watch to a nurture actually jumps me up from a 5 to an 8%, we can go ahead and adjust that. I had a real estate agent that said, once I'm staging, I know I'm selling. So again, you can go ahead and adjust that accordingly, right? So moving back over here to checklist, we'll have a number of different checklist items right here. And as you see, it says 0 of 0 items. They may come stock standard with 0 checklist items. But we can do one of two things. If we want to add checklist items to a stage that's already been created, we can click on the 0 of 0 items, and then we can start to add our checklist item. So checklist item number 1, item number 2, and then item number 3. And so now when we go over here and we create opportunities, every time somebody lands within this opportunity, this stage right here, each transaction will have 3 items that they need to complete before bringing them over to the nurture side. On the nurture side, they may have 2, 3, 4 items that they need to complete, and then we'll bring them over to the hot side, and so on and so forth. So let me go ahead and back out over here to, let's say, our listing side right here. Let's choose this active because it's a little bit easier to see. We have 1 active listing right here, but you'll see that there's 3 checklist items. If we click on these 3 checklist items, it'll say schedule meeting, call John Smith, and staging is complete, right? So as we see right here, we can kind of say if we call John Smith to stage the property, they have completed 1 of 3 steps in order to proceed forward. Once we complete that second step, you'll see that'll appear right here in a nice visual timeline or progress bar. You'll see that that's available as well. Now, there's a couple other things that I want to address on this checklist. Is if you're working with a team, you'll have the ability to assign a team member to a specific task. So if there's one individual who's always calling, right? If there's one individual who's always reaching out for paperwork, we can go ahead and adjust these. If there's one individual that's always staging, right? For example, you have the ability to assign your team members individually. You also have the ability to set a due date. Now, keep in mind, this due date's for this one opportunity right here. It's not for all of them. But we do have the ability to say this staging needs to be done by today at 3. So there we go. So now this is going to be scheduled to be completed by 3. And this will also create should create an opportunity task for you once we have that set due date. Now, one last thing to mention, I'm going to bring over one last opportunity. Doesn't really matter. Let me bring this active opportunity over here. You'll see we have John Doe, we have Scott Leroy right here. You'll see that both of us have 3 checklist items. Say John Doe may need a few extra steps to proceed forward. What we can do is we can actually go over here, scroll down a little bit, and you should have the ability to add that additional checklist item number 4, and it should appear within that opportunities checklist without affecting the rest of the individuals on this different stage right here. So it's cool. You can kind of everyone kind of gets the same sections, but you can also layer additional tasks if your clients need some extra TLC. All right, I think that should be it for now. I'm going to stay on a couple extra minutes for you guys to answer any additional questions. Please feel free to reach out to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com for any kind of additional questions. If you're looking for your buyer and seller checklist, that you can go ahead and start creating your checklist now, because I know I ran out of time. Please feel free to email us. We should be able to kind of send that over to you, or at least send over a link for you to be able to copy and paste your checklist items from your buyers and your sellers. Again, thank you so much for spending this extra time with me here today. My name is Morgan Heitzma, and I will see you guys on the next one.